Start by warming up the hands and feet. Right, so think of squeezing your toes, squeezing your hands, and opening them up. And as you open up the hands, try to feel that connection with the back of the hands. Try to feel that connection, same connection with the back of the foot and the tibialis. You can do it 1 foot at a time. Squeeze. So this muscle connection, muscle contraction, right, is a way for us to send the blood, the oxygen, send the chi, the life force energy into those areas. And the purpose of Tai Chi is to bring that energy, that blood flow through the entire body. So when we move, we're building strength, we're building vitality, longevity. Go for some movements of the scapula and the thoracic spine. So we're going to make big circles, and then we're going to first round the back and then come back. Exactly. You want to breathe continuous. You don't want to hold the breath. Continuous breath. Big accentuated circles. Really search for the ranges of your end of motion. And you want to find the end of your range of motion and push beyond that. Right? That's your resistance. You need resistance to build strength, and you need fatigue to show you are building strength. Right, so we're going backwards and forwards with those big accentuated shoulder movements, engaging the scapula, protracting the scapula, retracting it. Perfect. So now let's bring a wide stance, and we're going to think of pushing down with our feet and pushing outward as well at the same time. So we're thinking of looking like an A, and then we're going to push at the mat or at the floor or rug, wherever you are. You're going to push, and you're going to feel that tension. You're going to push with the blade of your foot right here, right? On the outside of your foot, pushing down and out. And you should feel the muscles in between the hands, the hips, all the muscles around here, as you really try to push outward. Bend the knees slightly. Think of continuously pushing, bring that energy down and up. And as I'm bringing this energy down and up, I'm focusing intently on that muscle connection, right? So up here, bringing my elbows really close, as close to my rib cage as I can, and then coming out, and thinking of lifting yourself from a counter and engaging the muscles to push down. So that's you want to feel that in the chest and in the back, muscles, and in the shoulders as well. intently push out, you should feel the contraction in the hips. If you straighten the hips, if you straighten the knees, you're going to feel that connection more in the medial glutes and in the hips. So you could switch between that. If the quads get fatigued, strengthen the medial glutes, and then go for a bend. Feel that connection with the feet. It starts from the feet, connected all the way up, feeling the connection of the calf, the tibialis, the calves, the hamstrings. As you push down, you almost want to think of sinking down. And then as you come back up, straighten up. And completely straighten the legs. So you want to feel that, the lock of the knee and the contraction of the quad and the glute as you're pushing out. The breath should come from the diaphragm, although it looks like it's coming from my chest. What's happening here is I'm bringing my chest to the ceiling, right? But my breathing comes from the diaphragm, which is like an accordion. And it should come from, if you press into your belly, as you breathe out, as you breathe in, it goes in, as you breathe out, from the belly. Always strong, always engaged in the center. That will allow you to speak, that will allow you to breathe more effectively. You want to let go of every air that you take in, you release. Really feeling that connection with the core, with the abdomen. When I come up, I'm feeling that strong connection. So we're gonna visualize that by bringing our hands in front of us, our elbows close to our rib cage, and then we're gonna externally rotate. And we're gonna feel the connection of the back, the rear delts, and the mid back. Really feel that connection. Move the shoulders a little bit up and down. Try to see if there's any resistance and if there's any fatigue. Right, really working on that external rotation. Will definitely work on the stability of the shoulders. We think of holding a sphere in our hands. So again, bringing that awareness, that muscle connection, right, as I'm intently trying to squeeze the sphere as strong as I can. And same movement, right? You can think of rounding and contracting. So you can think of twisting the sphere down and really feeling the connection all throughout the forearms. Twisting it back. Very slowly, very aware of all your movements, very intentfully, full of muscle connection, muscle contraction. You want to squeeze as hard as you can, building that fatigue. You want to also visualize that with your feet as you're grounded. Being grounded means connecting to the earth. These are your roots and how you connect to the earth. And you want to grip the earth in a sense. So elevating that arch, building on the strength of the toes. And you want to bring that energy, let's bring that energy in as we sink. And as we sink, you want to feel the connection with the hips and the glutes and the core and the center. Right here, this energy, you're sinking in. That's why you're bringing the hands together. You're now holding one sphere, one larger sphere, and you're squeezing again. Maintain that squeeze. And you want to bring that wrist inward to feel that connection, right? You can lower. So long as the muscles are engaged and connected, the knees should not be a problem, right? Because the knees only facilitate the movement, but they do not have to take the load. The problem here lies with weakness of the muscle, inactivity of the muscle, and so if we're not engaged fully, intentfully within our movements, then all that load is going to our knees, right? So we want to feel that connection with the hamstrings, as the hamstrings are made to aid in the movement of the knee flexion, right? So you want to feel that connection with the hamstrings. So let's go into the forward directional kick, which we're going to think of lifting one knee, right? And it's going to work on our balance. We want to focus that one foot, that glute, and everything in between is our pillar, and we're standing on our pillar, and we want to center ourselves within that pillar. And we want to bring that leg inward, feeling the connection with the muscles in the inner thigh, the connections with the glutes, the connection with our quad as we come forward. As we come forward, think of pointing the toes and squeezing the foot, squeezing the sole of the foot. And then finally, bring the knees flush and finding that connection with the hamstring and the glute. So let's try to do that with the other leg. And again, if you feel any resistance, any restrictions, keep that in mind, because those are the areas you want to target when you are releasing your fascia. You might hear some pops or cracks, and that's normal because you're removing the cobwebs, in a sense, right, of your natural movements. That just means these movements needs to be practiced more diligently. Again, it's that connection with the hamstring and the glute, seeing how they work together. You can think of bringing the toes towards the knee in that one. So you can come here. If you find that you're struggling with balance, focus on the strength of the foot that you're balancing on. So intently squeeze at the foot because that is your base. Then focus on the connection with your shins, the connection with your quad, the connection with your glute, right? So in that, let's work on that connection, right? So we're going to think of widening the stance a little bit. And we're going to touch our knees. And we want to feel the engagement mainly on the glutes, right? So you want to feel those glutes strong. And as we slightly bend the knees, right, we're going to slightly bend the knees and we're going to slowly descend with control. You want to feel the glutes getting tired, the quads getting tired, the hamstrings getting tired, right? As you go lower, you want to feel the connection at the hips. You want to get the hips to be tired because they're the ones in charge of all of these movements for you to get all the way into the ground. So once you're into the ground, you can think of using the base of your fingers as your base rather than the base of your palm. You'll feel more stable. When you're in this completely lower down position, you want to focus on the connection of the tibialis, right? The tibialis is that connection that you get when you bring the toe towards the knee, right? So you want to work on that connection of the toe and the knee, as well as the flexibility of the ankle. If there's restriction, that's a way for you to know where you need to focus on when you're releasing your fascia. But in this position, you want to focus intently on the tibialis contraction, the feet contraction. You want to base yourself again with the base of your fingers right there where those knuckles are. That's where you want to put your weight. If your feet get a little tired, you want to build strength in your hands and your forearms and your hands. You want to practice this position throughout the day. You're stretching, when you're building strength, because building strength takes building strong hands and feet. They will be your weak links, so you need to make sure that those extremities are strong so that you can build strength further. If you build strength in the hands and the feet, and the ankles and the forearms, you will build longer strength everywhere else. So we can go into our knees for a stretch of the tibialis. Now that's focus on the connection of the hamstrings, right? As the knees are bent, you feel that connection of the hamstrings. Feel the connection with the glutes. Think of rising with your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings. You go into this hip thrust position. You're going to feel that strong engagement of the hamstrings and the glutes. So we're going to come down. Always movement with intention. as slow as you can, because the slower, the more you're going to be in charge of the movement rather than gravity and momentum. So you can think of stretching the feet as well by bringing the toes up, using them as a base. Maybe you'll feel a stronger connection. So now feel that connection with the hamstrings, feel the connection with the glutes, with the feet and the ankles and the tibialis, right? Just feel that fatigue all throughout. You want fatigue everywhere. That's how you know you're activating and using those muscles to build strength. So come up, go forward. We're coming down slowly, feeling all the muscles required for those movements. You want to bring the hips as forward as you can, feeling that strong connection of the posterior muscles and the low back as well. If you feel any resistances, any fatigues, that's a place to release fascia. So you want to focus on that intense glute connection as you bring the hips forward. So I'm going to be bringing one more thing into play, and that is a cushion of any kind. A cushion of any kind will help. And it's about moving within that unstable surface and squeezing the feet to really feel the connection with your soul, the soul of the foot. Bringing the ankles in, imagining standing on a sphere, kind of like you're holding your hands, and you're holding a sphere, and you're bringing them inward to feel those connections. That same concept will apply with the feet. You can feel the strength building in the ankles as you feel the fatigue. Feel that connection. Feel the connection with the upper part of your lower body. So the hips right here. And feel how they connect as you try to hold on to the sphere with your feet. As you squeeze the feet and you feel that connection with your ankles. You feel that fatigue. That's the muscle being active. That's what the muscle shows you to know that it is working. Now you could go for a relax. And you can do this with any couch and any cushion, any bed. If you have one, you can work on the strength of your feet, and that will translate to the strength of the rest of the chain, right? So we're going to think of bringing the mobility back into play, right? So feeling the stretch of our toes, just so that you can see what I'm doing in here. I'm working on the various different movements of the foot and toes. there's some cracks and pops. That's fine. Again, it's dusting off the cobwebs, right? These are your natural movements, and your body is just readjusting, realigning. And just pay attention. Pay attention to your feet and what you're feeling, the connections. If there isn't a connection in one place or there's too much connection in another place, keep all those things in mind for when you go into release your fascia. Building strength. Well, the lower body should be the strongest area of the body, and the feet especially should be the strongest as they are your links to the earth. So building your if you want to build balance, if you want to build lasting strength of the lower body and everywhere else, you want to start at the extremities. You want to start at the feet and the hands. You give that a break a little bit, and then go for some stretches. So again, we're going to go back into the ground, and we're going to feel the stretch of our toes. We're going to sit on our heels. Feel the stretch of the foot. You can think of holding onto your heels and maybe on your ankles. And if there's soreness of any kind, you can think of leaning into that. You want to lean into the soreness or the tenderness. You want to just breathe and relax. And that's that principle of yoga, is finding a difficult position and mastering by staying there, practicing patience and breathing, oxygenizing the body, teaching the body to adapt to those positions. And the body will adapt, it will readjust. It just needs patience and intentful connection with the body, meaning muscles connection, the squeeze of the muscles all throughout the body. You can think of stretching that as well, stretching the tibialis, stretching the top of the foot. You just move around. Play around with the mobility of your ankles, the mobility of your feet. Because right now I'm connecting my feet to the mat, intently pushing down, feeling that connection with the top of the foot, right here, and the ankle, feeling the stretch. Just moving around, seeing where you need to to stay in that stretch, you want to find your stretch. You want to find that muscle connection, that fatigue. Always welcome fatigue, welcome soreness, welcome cramping. All those are signs of you building strength. So you could alternate, and then as you're in the floor, build strength of the hands by standing, putting your weight on the bottoms of your fingers, lifting the bottoms of your palms, and you can think of squeezing as you're in that position. So you're going to fatigue the hands and the forearms further. The opposite is true when you're, I call this the gorilla, right? So it's you're placing your fingertips into the ground, digging them into the ground, and you're going to think of opening them, but not actually opening them. So you're going to feel the fatigue in the back of the hands. And you can alternate between those two to build the proper hand and forearm strength. So it's the same concept with the feet, right? You could feel that stretch and feel that connection with the sole of the foot, or you could stretch the sole of the foot, stretch the bottom of the foot, and feel that connection with the tibialis, and the top of the foot. You want to alternate. Feeling that fatigue everywhere. Using the earth to help you strengthen yourself. And you could easily translate into meditation, right? As you build strength and scour the depths of the body, right? That's that look inward. This is it. This is part of that journey, right? Discovering the body and its movements, its capacity for strength and grace. There is no grace without control and strength. As I sway side to side, just to allow the movements of the spine and the movements of the hip, seeing how they all feel. You could think of bringing your hips towards one side and your shoulders towards the other side. And you're going to feel that stretch and resistance. Right, the wisdom of the snake, the serpent, right? Building the muscles of the erector spinae as they stem from the glutes and up the vertebrae. And this will translate to animal movements, which are exercises that mirror certain animals, right? Just listen to the body, feel the stretch as your hands are the extensions of your center. You're swaying side to side. I'll show you right here. Really feeling that stretch in the sides as you reach. You want to feel resistance. You want to find the resistance. You want to push beyond that resistance. With the muscles active, the muscles engaged, allowing the blood flow to get into those areas that are usually not engaged. You could think of decompressing your spine by strengthening the erector spinae. So you could think of using the ground kind of like a table, and you can do this at any table or any counter. Think of locking your hands by building that strength with the bicep and the shoulder and the rear delts, right? So you want to find that connection and then push. And as you're pushing, you're sinking your lower body, so your hips, right? You're sinking them down while you're raising the upper vertebrae up with your shoulders. You want to get a proper release with the proper connection